Is the site you're looking at is being sold with a consented scheme? The numbers look tempting, planning approval is in place. But how certain are you that the approved scheme can actually be delivered? What hidden risks might be sitting in those approved drawings? And what could actually be done better? As discussed in Part 1, councils approve schemes based on planning policy. They do not assess building regulations compliance, and they do not examine whether a scheme is actually buildable. And they certainly do not assess whether the scheme is financially optimal for you. So the natural assumption many developers make that just because a scheme's been developed by a professional team, it's properly thought through is very often wrong. Hello, I'm Victor Rohacs from Rohacs Architects. For over 8 years, we have been helping our clients maximize development value in and around London. And over the course of that time, we have come across dozens of underperforming schemes, from small infill sites to large multi-unit developments, commercial to residential conversions, airspace schemes, and redevelopment projects. In many cases, we discovered fundamental issues that required major redesigns, additional planning approvals, and expensive construction changes. This is part 2 of our video series looking at the most common issues we routinely come across in approved schemes. If you haven't seen part 1, I recommend watching that as well, so to get a full picture. One of the common technical issues relates to the construction of external walls. Current building regulations require buildings with a story above 11 meters to have non-combustible external walls. And this requirement applies to the entire wall build-up, not just the cladding. This includes internal linings, structural components, insulation, cavities and cavity barriers, and the cladding itself. In planning drawings, external walls are very often drawn far too thin, 200 or 250 mm, whilst the properly insulated external wall very often comes to 400 or 450 millimeters. This difference can have a significant impact on the net areas of the building, because very often the building simply cannot be made bigger. Another common issue is the thickness of the internal walls, and especially the compartment walls or the walls between the apartments. In many schemes we see these are drawn at the same thickness as just internal partitions. But the walls separating units must provide fire protection and acoustic insulation. So in reality, these walls are 250 to 300 millimeters thick and not 100 millimeter that we commonly see in planning drawings. And again, this could have a major impact on layouts and net areas. Quite often we also see issues with national space standards compliance. The issues normally include problems with the bedroom sizes, storage spaces, and whilst these layouts have passed once, they might not survive a second detailed scrutiny. Just because something was approved once, it doesn't mean it will be approved again. If you later submit a non-material amendment, a minor amendment, or a revised scheme, these issues might come to the surface. Access is another area where approved schemes very often fall short. Many layouts are labeled as accessible, but there is no actual evidence of compliance with Part M requirements. And in particular, M42 accessible units and M43 wheelchair user units require specific spatial allowances. Common problems include undersized bedrooms, bathrooms without transfer space between the toilets and the wheelchair, and bath or shower and wheelchair, insufficient turning spaces for wheelchair users, kitchens that are too small, and no storage allowance for wheelchairs. For these issues to be corrected, layouts will need redesigns. Another issue often overlooked at the acquisition stage is adjacency to railway or London Underground infrastructure. In dense urban areas, sites are very often above or adjacent to railway assets. This could have a major impact on buildability, construction methods, program, and build costs. Owners of these infrastructure, Network Rail and London Underground Limited, will require the protection of their assets. Before construction, this could mean lengthy negotiation process with them, and during construction, strict requirements, crane operations, structure and foundation works, debris control, and access requirements. Any disruption to the operation of these railways could result in serious fines and compensation costs. Environmental constraints can have major impact on program and cost as well. For example, tree protection zones usually well exceed the size of the visible tree canopy. Root protection area can extend well into the development zone and could have an impact on foundation design, drainage, and access. And these requirements apply not only to the trees on your site, but also to the trees adjacent to your site on neighboring land. Bat habitats could become an important factor as well. Bats are a legally protected species in the UK. Normally, if roof structures, abandoned buildings, or mature trees are affected, bat surveys and ecological surveys will be required. These surveys can only be carried out during a narrow specific window in the year, typically between May and September. Miss that window and it could have a major impact on your program. If these issues are not investigated early, they could have a major impact on cost, program, unit sizes, unit mix, and net sellable area. And ultimately, this could mean the difference between a scheme being viable or not. So if you're considering an approved scheme and wondering to yourself whether design is really going to stack up, speak to us at Rohacs Architects as early as possible. Because the earlier these risks are identified, the easier, cheaper, and faster to sort them. I hope you found this video interesting. And although we made all reasonable efforts to make sure that the information provided is accurate at the time of release, it's only intended for educational purposes and it is not a substitute for professional advice. So please speak to a professional about your scheme now. Many thanks for watching and I look forward to sharing more with you in the next episodes.